why Gen X is the strongest generation of all time. Gen X starts from 1965 and I believe finishes 1980. I honestly have no doubt how true this video is because I believe my generation, am I Gen Z? Right, yes, I am actually Gen Z. I believe that this might be true, but let's find out if it really is the case. Go on, Gen X, why you guys the strongest, eh? Hey.
Generation X, the unsung powerhouses wedged between the booming baby boomers and the tech-savvy millennials, truly embody the grit and backbone that defined an era.
Okay.
As the thumbnail of this video proclaims, we didn't run our mouths, we just did it. And that's exactly why we've emerged as the strongest generation to ever walk the earth. Remember,
Imagine this generation, if you're talking back, you're getting your ass beat. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, some after this as well, so, but yeah.
the days of biking 5 miles to school, rain or shine? Or how about eating whatever was in front of us because it tasted worse the next morning? Bet you can't imagine that today, right?
Right.
If you were Gen Z, you'd probably be lost without GPS and a safety net.
Oh my God.
But for us Gen Xers, we learned early. Don't complain, or you'll really have something to complain about.
Yeah.
We grew up tough, we grew up resilient, and we didn't need constant approval to stand our ground. Before we continue,
Dude, this is a very symbolic picture. I could not picture too many Gen Zs doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just couldn't. I think this is AI maybe as well, but I do believe Gen X is actually what doing shit like this.
Need constant approval to stand our ground. Before we continue, let me share some observations about today's generation that might not exemplify strength.
Right, okay.
Imagine someone sucking on a strawberry vape, constantly scrolling through social media, and snapping selfies just to gather enough likes for.
I don't think fucking vaping makes you weaker, okay? I'll say that. Doom scrolling, that definitely does make you weaker because you're wasting your time just fucking scrolling all day, okay? I'm guilty of that myself, so not knocking anyone.
Constantly scrolling through social media and snapping selfies just to gather enough likes for their daily dose of dopamine.
I suppose that does make you weak. That is weaker in comparison, right? Doesn't necessarily, taking a picture doesn't make you weak, or doesn't show that you're weak. But if we're comparing to those previous to us, I suppose it is when in comparison. As a standalone, I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a weak thing to do, you know?
Depression rates among Gen Z are soaring, with many experiencing burnouts and struggling to cope. You want to know what really makes a generation strong?
Let's hear it.
A hefty chunk of our grit comes straight from our grandparents, the greatest generation. These tough-as-nails folks who chewed on the bitterness of the Great Depression and spat out the horrors of World War II, hammered into us an unshakable grit and ironclad resourcefulness.
Dude, my face for a second, I was like, the strongest from the grandparents. But then, you know, when we start mentioning things like world wars and things like that, it makes things a little bit, puts things into perspective. Now, of course, there are people of this generation that do go to war, but obviously, given that landscape is very different now, I can see how they were made stronger by their grandparents.
World War II hammered into us an unshakable grit and ironclad resourcefulness. I owe a hell of a lot to my grandparents and the rock-solid wisdom they hammered home. They weren't about handouts or soft living. They taught us the grind, value hard work, pinch pennies like their life jackets, and stare down life's sucker punches without flinching. Their saga of surviving the roughest patches of modern history sketched us a map to navigate chaos and kick ass in a world that won't stop changing.
Right, okay.
Their legacy? It's the backbone of Gen X, armored us to face down any storm and bulldoze through walls. We did not run our mouth, we just did it.
Oh, hey, this is my mom's generation. I'm just realizing. And when I look at my grandma, she's a lot softer than she was back in the day, just from what my mom says. But it actually does make a lot of sense when I look at my parents. Okay? Compared to myself, anyway. I mean, I'm not weak, but, you know, comparing it to these guys and the shit that even their parents put them through in the climate, it's not really much comparing, is there?
That was the unwritten law of our upbringing, etched into the very fabric of our generation. Raised in homes where discipline and duty stood as pillars, We tackled chores without complaint or
Yeah,
delay.
that's my mom and her
From mowing
sisters,
lawns
mate.
before the sun got too high, to washing dishes the moment dinner ended, our
Mm,
tasks were non-negotiable.
right.
This no-nonsense approach extended beyond mere household duties. It was a philosophy that shaped our entire character. Our parents instilled in us a stoic resilience, a quiet resolve to meet life's demands head-on. Words were cheap. It was actions that
It's
counted.
UK, isn't it?
This silent stoicism wasn't about suppression. It was about survival and strength, learning to manage whatever life threw our way with a steady hand and a closed mouth. We were molded to be doers, not talkers, champions who thrived on accountability and the satisfaction of a job well done. We were young and independent, true pioneers of self-reliance from a tender age. Our parents were often not home, caught up in the hustle to make ends meet,
Right, okay.
leaving us with the house keys and a list of responsibilities that would make today's helicopter parents gasp. By the time we hit the front door after school, we were on our own, masters of our miniature domains. The command was simple.
Very true, in fact, especially given that they didn't have, like, you know, mobile phones. And because the thing is, a mobile phone has made life incredibly easier. You know what I'm saying? Even when we look at things like you said earlier, navigation, you know, having to actually, like, some people now, they get anxiety from going, for even thinking about going to knock on the house of their friend. You know what I mean? Because you then have to communicate with their parents. Can so and so come out? That in itself builds character, having to do something like that. And if you're having anxiety from even thinking of doing something like that, then yeah, it's, it's weaker. It is actually weaker. Like, obviously, it's not nice to hear that a generation previous was stronger than we are, because we always like to think that, oh, our generation has it the hardest. But when you actually look into perspective, like put it into perspective, and you take off your bias, you can actually see that, wow, okay, I guess they did actually have it a bit harder. Now, it's not a bit harder, a bit, he says. They did have it harder. But I won't say that for all things. I think there's maybe certain things that could be harder in this generation. But I think the numbers for Gen X's would dwarf the problems that we think are more difficult for generations gone by. Be interesting to see if he does mention any things that are more difficult now than they were for Gen X's.
The command was simple: be home by dark. And so, under that vast sky, we claimed the streets as ours, biking far beyond the safe confines of modern playdates, playing epic games of hide and seek that spanned entire...
I mean, I did all this stuff, man. Come on, bro. I did this. I was kind of in a lucky period where just before phones. So we're gonna just say Gen X's were the only ones biking to fucking Valhalla and shit like that. Okay.
confines of modern playdates, playing epic games of hide and seek that spanned entire neighborhoods. There weren't any cell phones to summon us home, just the distant calls of dinner or the flickering streetlights signaling that our day of freedom was drawing to a close. This wasn't neglect, it was normal, and it taught us to handle life head-on. From bandaging our own scraped knees to settling our own squabbles. Generation X's biggest asset? We're as comfortable with a rotary phone as we are with a smartphone. We're the only generation that naturally bridges the analog and digital divide, seamlessly integrating solutions.
You're the only generation, bro. Dude, again, Gen X is between 1965 and 1980, bro. Yeah.
This unique ability to navigate between technologies, from dial-up internet to high-speed broadband, from cassette tapes to streaming music, has endowed us with unmatched creative problem-solving skills. Whether it's fixing a car engine using old-school manuals or optimizing software using the latest apps, we handle it all with equal finesse. This dual fluency makes Gen X uniquely versatile and inventive, masters of both the tools of the past and the innovations of the present. With one foot in the past and one in the future, we dance through challenges that stump other generations.
I will say though that it does raise a good point in regards to actually critical thinking, because I think especially now, given that we have what is it's the age of information, really, isn't it? And these bad boys, they essentially make thinking to an extent redundant. And I will say the people, the Gen Xers, if you would, as an example for this video, they're more likely to critically think themselves before turning to their phone. But it's even funny that I mentioned that because my granddad was here, what, 2 weeks ago? Right. And he was here for the weekend. I hadn't seen him in some time, right? And for a lot of things, he was using Google and AI. Like he would speak into the phone, asking questions for most of the time. So I find that quite interesting, what he's saying in regards to critical thinking. Now, my granddad is one person, so I can't speak in regards to a whole generation of people. So I will kind of take this on surface level and not fully believe that that is the case.
We dance through challenges that stump other generations.
In regards to critical thinking anyway. But I do think it probably is more than Gen Z, millennials, and the ones before Gen Z.
Left with solutions in hand. Long before work-life balance became a trendy hashtag, we were the champions of managing it all on the fly. Our childhood didn't include lavish birthday parties or orchestrated playdates. It was about figuring out how to entertain ourselves without a dozen digital devices at our disposal. We stood on the roof of the house to turn the antenna for clarity, even in the rain which made it slippery. We worked from 12.
That would make you stronger, yes?
It was a crash course in innovation and adaptation, skills that later became our professional superpowers.
I mean, but bro, like I hear it. But what about when the broadband isn't working and I have to go downstairs and like turn it off and on, even in the rain? You know what I'm saying? I'm joking, obviously. It doesn't compare to going on your roof and sorting out an antenna when it's raining, but we all have our problems.
This wasn't deprivation. It was a crash course in innovation and adaptation, skills that later became our professional superpowers.
Right.
Our resilience wasn't just born. It was built from these early trials.
It was forged.
Proving that our ability to juggle multiple tasks while keeping our cool is nothing short of legendary. Accountability was learned very early.
This guy is glazing there. Legendary, bro.
Is nothing short of legendary.
Legendary.
Accountability was learned very early for us. The responsibility of our actions was never something to be shirked or passed off to others. From owning up to broken windows from an errant baseball to managing our first part-time jobs, we understood consequences and embraced them without a safety net. This foundational principle—
Is that a generational thing though? Really?
Broken windows from an errant baseball.
Like, what does that have to do? Like, are they saying that people now don't own up? Or people outside of Gen X don't own up to fucking breaking window? Bro, I accidentally hit someone's car while trying to reverse bake park. And I owned up to that. I'm not Gen X, bruh. I'm saying I waited for them in the car park. I was like, hey, sorry, dude, I kind of hit your car there. She was like, yeah, you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's only a minor scratch, but thank you for owning up. Sorry.
From owning up to broken windows from an errant baseball to managing our first part-time jobs, we understood consequences and embraced them without a safety net. This foundational principle shaped us into adults who take ownership seriously, driving us to lead by example and command with integrity. It wasn't just about—
Okay, I will say in regards to comparing parents from back in the day, from that generation, they definitely do seem more like they had, how could I say? Can I even say raise their kids better? I probably could say that, right? Because now you have a lot of iPad parents that just give their kids iPads. So I definitely would give Gen Xers that in saying that to probably raise their kids better and probably were more what's the opposite of absent? They were more present, you know, in actually raising their kids. So you know what? Shout out to the Gen Xers, bro.
Being responsible, it was about being accountable to ourselves and those around us, a trait that seems scarce in today's blame-shifting culture. Our generation didn't have the luxury of finding ourselves or taking gap years to wander aimlessly. We made decisions swiftly, stuck by them, and powered through challenges with a—
Maybe not, actually. Maybe he was right.
We made decisions swiftly, stuck by them, and powered through challenges with a gritty determination that was non-negotiable.
I can believe that.
When the recession hit, we didn't whine. We adapted, finding new paths or creating them when none existed. Our careers are—
I don't want to be too literal. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Gen X, bro, because I'm biased for my generation. I don't. I'm actually just kind of wanting to It's some of it sounds like glazing, over glazing, bro. It's like he's saying things for his generation, saying that it hasn't happened for other generations, and that's just not true.
That was non-negotiable.
It's not true.
When the recession hit, we didn't whine.
You didn't whine, bro. None of you guys were whining. Seriously,
We adapted.
bro. But I'm being too literal. I'm being too literal. So I imagine maybe the majority didn't whine, which for that maximum respect, because it's a difficult time, and not to whine in difficult times is a show of character. But maybe I'm being too literal, right?
New paths or creating them when none existed. Our careers are patchworks of bold moves and strategic retreats, marked not by entitlement, but by earned respect and hard-fought gains. We didn't wait for opportunities to land in our laps. We chased them down, often outpacing those who doubted us.
Yeah,
This
perhaps.
relentless drive isn't just ambition. It's a deep-seated will to prove that we can thrive, not just survive, no matter the odds. Flexibility was our playground, not just a corporate buzzword. We were the latchkey kids who adapted to whatever the day threw at us. There were no constant updates or digital schedules to guide us,
Right, okay.
just the necessity to think on our feet and pivot at a moment's notice.
This 100% I can get behind in saying that this would make a generation a lot more stronger. Like I said before, we are the generation, we're living in the age of information, to where if you're stuck in a bit of a pickle, mate, you can just back out your phone and then you can search up the problem you're having. And I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you will find a solution. So doing that obviously doesn't require critical thinking. And like I said, the Generation X having to do that would build stronger, smarter, more competent people.
Just the necessity to think on our feet and pivot at a moment's notice. We handled changes in plans, power outages, and last-minute cancellations without a meltdown, teaching us a level of adaptability that's become second nature. Our capacity to seamlessly shift gears is not just a learned skill. It's embedded in our psyche, making us invaluable in today's fast-changing professional landscape. We embrace the outdoors as our primary entertainment, not an occasional getaway.
Okay.
Summers were spent building tree houses, swimming in the local creek, and exploring woods, activities that built physical and mental toughness.
Okay.
This wasn't structured, sanitized play,
I believe it.
but raw interaction with nature that taught us risk management, resilience, and respect for the environment long before it became a global concern.
Right. I think the biggest difference now, especially, is I think it's just the way the system has been kind of shaped up, in that we are a little bit more individual, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to, like, we still are social, but there's a lot more people who prefer to kind of chill in their home as opposed to go out in nature with their friends and build tree houses. And I do think that going out and building tree houses builds character as opposed to staying in your house. So, you know what? Another point for Gen X's, dude.
Our hands-on experiences have ingrained a sense of adventure and independence that sets us apart from those who spend hours curating digital lives indoors.
Right. Literally that.
Our social networks were built face-to-face and maintained with genuine, ongoing interactions, not just through clicks or likes. We forged friendships on the basis of real-time shared experiences,
Right.
learning negotiation, empathy, and the nuances of human behavior firsthand. This has not only honed our interpersonal skills, but also deepened our connections, giving us an edge in both personal and professional relationships. In an age where digital
I can see that.
communication often replaces genuine connection, our ability to engage personally and meaningfully is more relevant than ever. The reasons are clear. Generation X embodies unmatched strength because we didn't have the luxury of easing into adulthood. We faced the music early, adapting to rapid technological changes,
I believe
while
it.
preserving the hard-won lessons of previous generations. Our resilience isn't a boast. It's a well-documented track record of overcoming obstacles that would have halted others. So when you question which generation stands the strongest, look no further than Generation X.
You know what? For all the rebuttals that I had, for some of the points that I didn't agree with, I can still finish this video in saying that that generation would be a lot stronger, especially than mine. I'm a Gen Z, and I can say, especially after having watched this, and obviously the resilience of the things that they had to do and not reliant on technology, that they are definitely a lot stronger than we are at the moment, because we're kind of we're coddled in this generation, boy. It is what it is, bro. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and feel guilty, bro, for the situation that I'm in and the time period that I've been born in. It just is what it is, bro. You just get on with it. You know what I'm saying? But it's what makes generations interesting. We're all very different, and you shouldn't feel guilty because someone's like, I used to walk fucking 50 miles to school in the scorching heat or whatever, in the scorching in a very cold climate, whatever. Don't feel guilty for that, bro. It's not my problem. Sorry I had to go through that, but it is what it is. But nevertheless, I did learn something pretty cool and very interesting. And the strength of the Gen X's, I can never take that away from them. It's made them who they are, and for that, shout out to them. So yeah, I can still be respectful and appreciate it. But my friends, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, do consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy and peace.